I have more negative to talk about than positive, so I'm gonna start with the positive. Though I'm not like most people where I hate it just because Abby killed Joel. There is a lot of stupid stuff this game does that I don't think a lot of people acknowledge. They kill people every 2 seconds, half of them don't even matter. Oh, here's this character that you thought was gonna live a while. Nope. Literally, I think there's probably at least 15 sorta main characters in this game, not from the first game, that are established. And Dana is the only one that survives besides Abby and Lev. There's this guy Jesse. He gets shot when he walks into a room. There's this guy Manny. He decides he wants to do this plan. He gets shot. They just kill every single person every chance they get. They break the tension of a scene. We finally confront Abby and they're like, oh shit, wait, we have like 4 hours left in this game. Or, oh shit, this game's gonna be too short. So, for the next 3 hours, maybe more, guess what happens? We do flashback after flashback. There's a flashback from back when Abby was young. There's a flashback for this. There's a flashback for that. Oh, this Ferris wheel is important. You want to know why it's important? Here's a flashback. There's just way too many. There's at least 5 in a row, and you play through all of them. It's one thing if it was just like a short cutscene, and then we have to watch it, and there's another short cutscene and another short cutscene. That's one thing. But we're playing through these flashbacks, and they're not short. They're not like 5 or 10 minutes. They're long. So yeah, the game, not the best. They also killed Joel, and I don't think it's stupid. Most people think it's stupid. It's a little bit stupid, but you know, you can think of the state of mind he was in. He's getting chased by all these zombies. Way too many of them. Why wouldn't he trust these 2 people for a few seconds? Well, I don't think there was 2. There's probably more. Why wouldn't he trust these people for just a few seconds? Everybody thinks, oh, he wouldn't trust those people. As if, you know, he didn't work with people in the first game. He trusted the Fireflies enough to work with them to get guns later in the game. That was the whole deal. He trusted them in the deal. He trusted the brother and the brother in the first game, the one that gets bit, and he ends up having to kill both of them. Well, he doesn't kill both of them. The other one kills himself because he doesn't want to live without his brother. But he trusts them. So I don't think him trusting them wasn't, you know, a big thing. But I think Tommy telling them that his name was Joel was stupid. He should not have died like that. They should have found out in some other way. Tommy shouldn't have introduced them. Like, this isn't time to introduce them. You're being chased by zombies. You just got away from them. It's not time to go, oh, hey, his name's Joel. It just seems a little bit forced. And I think how he dies is stupid. They do it with almost every character in the game. He shows up for a good 2 scenes. That is it. He dies an hour in this game that's like 12 hours long. We could have had a few hours of him, some character development, and then him die. But they kill him an hour in. It's stupid. Gets killed. He gets 2 scenes, and then only shows up to die. It's stupid. Very stupid. They do that with anybody. Jesse shows up for a little bit. He disappears for a while. Come back. He talks to Ellie for a little bit. Dead. Manny We see him, we team up with him for a little bit, we leave him behind for a little bit, we team up with him, and he gets killed by a sniper as soon as we meet up with him again. We see Mel and Owen for a little bit. The next time we see them, they're dead. They do that with every character. I don't care about these characters because you're giving me zero reason to. Just giving me flashbacks after they're dead on reasons why I should care about them doesn't make me care about them. You can't kill them and then try and make you care about them. That's not how storytelling works. I did like the inclusion of some new zombies in here. We got the Shamblers, we got the Rat King. Then we actually got to see a bloater 1 or 2 times, which I thought was a little weird since we saw it at least 5 times in the first game, and that game was like an hour or 2 shorter. But it's fine. What else? The gameplay is absolutely amazing. It's just beautiful. There's so many different ways you can play. You can play sort of stealthy while doing combat. You can play stealthy, you can just do combat, and the combat in general is really good. Especially when you're fighting the big brute guys in this game. Though, I thought in general it was kind of stupid. It just feels like a mobile game with, the whole brute thing. Or it kind of feels like Arkham City or, a Batman game. They could have just had them be stronger, like Abby. Because they actually have something cool in this game where, when Ellie does a silent takedown, she uses her butterfly knife, the classic butterfly knife that we've gotten used to from the first game. When Abby does a silent takedown, she just does pure strength. So why couldn't we have just got other people like Abby? Just people with muscles. Later we get one person with muscles like Abby, but he gets taken down and killed in a cutscene. We don't even get to fight him. And speaking of him, even though he was a minor character, they did the same thing that they did with some of the major characters. He shows up, disappears for a while, shows up again, and he's dead. I also thought it was cool, some of the little details they did. It was alright, just the story was a convoluted mess. They could have done better. What else? I thought it... Oh, here's something I didn't care for. There were traps. In decent amount of places when we went to where Bill lived. But then later, there are other locations. There's some traps there too, but ones that aren't Bill's. In this game, there's only one callback to that. They just randomly put a bunch of traps in one mission. Though, honestly, it's just to make it harder, just so you have to move around them and stuff. Like, it just makes it so it has to be harder. So it takes longer to get where you want to be. Because it's on one of the stairs where you have to go to continue the mission. They were clearly just thrown in there to make the game harder. They do that with a lot of stuff. Like, oh look, this should be easy. Well, no, it's going to break. And now you have to figure out another way. And they do that at least 20 times in this game. I get stuff is older in this game. Because, zombie apocalypse and all. But it's still stupid that they do it so often. And it's clearly just used to make the game harder and longer. And then the only other callback to the trap is when the game is almost over. And it's literally only used to injure Ellie for another plot device. She gets caught by the big muscly dude in a trap and she gets injured from the trap. That is it. No more traps in the game 2 times. Even though they were a pretty big deal in the first game. You can use traps in this game. Like, set traps. You can, like, throw a bomb and stuff. But that's it. Yeah, I thought the killing of characters was so stupid. Like, there's a flashback, and there's even the point where even the dogs are dead that are in the flashback. Because Mel, Owen, and Alice is a dog. She gets killed with Mel and Owen. Not too long after, we're doing a flashback, and we see Alice. There's also a dog that we killed like 2 hours ago. Because I mostly do combat. I try and do stealthy, but I mostly do combat during this game. I ended up like killing this one dog. And like, no, bear. And then later during a flashback, we get to pet and play fetch with the dog. And Abby calls it bear. So it's even to the point where the dogs are dead in the flashbacks. The dogs. The people, the dogs, anybody. Because, like, everywhere you turn, there's a dead person. Because they just kill people way too much. And they also don't even mention Manny when he dies. Which I thought was stupid. He dies, she hyperventilates for a few seconds, she gets in a fight with Tommy. Tommy falls into the river, Tommy survives. And that is it. Manny is never spoken about when there's about like 3 hours left in the game. Maybe 2. Not once is he spoken about once he's dead. Nobody cares. Isaac was also supposed to be the leader. He's a big reason they're doing the whole attack on the island. He gets killed by a little kid that should have been dead. I thought that scene was so stupid. And he literally had like 2 scenes, but he was supposed to be important. I also do have a little bit of a problem with Naughty Dog and themselves with the whole false advertisement in the game. Because during their trailer, in the actual game, there's a scene where Jesse comes and saves you. Well, in the trailer, they show Joel edited into it. He says the exact same line that Jesse does. Like, seriously, that is so stupid. And they literally have no idea what they're doing. Because there's like this sort of minor thing that happens. It's not very important. But it takes them like 10 hours of the game, when the game is almost over, to finally show us a cutscene of it happening. In the beginning of the game, Ellie gets in a fight with this random dude named Seth, who's kind of homophobic and literally calls him a slur when she kisses Dana. And we never see that scene. But apparently Joel stood up for them and she got mad at him. Blah, 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 this, and that was that. Well, about 10 hours later, they randomly just show us a cutscene of it happening for whatever reason. And I also really would have liked to see Joel and Ellie's relationship after, she had to deal with the fact that she should have been dead. He's saved her from the doctors. She wasn't supposed to be alive. All we get is every now and then they'll show a scene where she gets angry at him, or she avoids him, or she talks to him for 2 seconds. She just doesn't want to be around him, which is understandable. But we never really get a relationship between them, because the rare scenes we do see with Joel, you know, it's not really with Ellie, and it's before they, got into a rocky relationship. They start showing a few flashbacks here and there of them hanging out at a museum and at an aquarium and stuff. So I thought that, was kind of stupid. Like, why show flashbacks? You can show, scenes with the characters actually, being characters and having character development. But no, let's just show them get angry every now and then, and not, actually talk about their feelings or literally anything else. We finally see a little bit of character development when the game's almost over. They randomly show a cutscene when there's probably about 5 minutes left of the game, where Ellie's like, hey, I want to try and fix our relationship. Well, too bad he's dead, and he's been dead for 10 hours of the game. Like, seriously. That felt so forced. Why did we need that flashback? The only good thing that came out of that flashback was apparently Joel traded something embarrassing for coffee, and in the first game it was a minor detail that I somehow remembered even before we got to this point, was that he liked coffee. That was one of the things I remember from the first game. I don't know why. But I was like, oh, that's cool, detail that they're going to talk about that. But we see nothing with Joel and Ellie, which it would have been cool if we did, but we don't. But yeah, the gameplay's really cool. You can shoot someone in the leg, they'll collapse, and then you can immediately take them down, or they'll eventually get back to their feet. Or if you shoot them like in the foot or something, or if you shoot them in the leg enough times, they won't get up, or it might just kill them. And if you do it with a clicker, with a runner, they eventually get up. But if you do it with a clicker, they don't really see well, obviously. They'll eventually just get up. Well, actually, no, that's not what I meant to say. With a clicker, they'll just crawl around, and then they'll grab at your feet, and they'll kill you. I had that happen to me one time, because I thought it was just getting, bleed out or something. But obviously I didn't, shoot it enough. But it'll crawl around, and you can just stomp on it. I think that was one of the coolest part of the game, so it's just shooting them in the leg. It makes it easier. Just, shooting them in the leg, stomp. It's fun. Combat is really fun, really good. The shotgun is brutal up close. You can shoot their arms off, shoot their legs off, shoot their head off. There's a lot of cool details, like if you scratch someone's face with a knife and then you get in the begging position, they'll still have that scratch. It was very cool. There's also a different thing, like, I think it's if you use a melee weapon. I don't know. Maybe it's different. But like I said, you can get the begging one, right? Well, there's also one where they can talk to you for a little bit until they bleed out. I only had it happen twice during the entire game. Where there was one time where I thought this guy was begging. He was just talking trash, talking about how nobody knew me, and stuff like that. Then eventually, he just fell face first in the grass. The other one was in a kitchen, I think. And they eventually just fell on their side and then fell face first on the floor. It's a very cool detail. And I also like how all the begging is different with different enemies. Like with a scar, they'll talk about their god and this and that. With a wolf, because you actually get to fight your own teammates during this game. With a wolf, when you fight as a wolf. When you fight as, Abby. They're like, why are you doing this? We're on the same team and stuff like that. It was a cool detail. Very fun game. Something else I wanted to talk about. Oh. They kind of mess up and basically make Abby just like Joel. Yet, she hates Joel and talks about how much of a piece of crap he is and that. Through the game, they try and say that Abby's not the best person either. But they don't try and go to the extreme and say that she's a terrible person like Joel. But during the game, she actually does something exactly like Joel did in the first game. Joel killed a bunch of fireflies to save Ellie, right? Halfway through the game's basically over, like 2 hours left. Later, she kills a bunch of wolves just to save Lev. Exact same thing Joel did. He killed a bunch of fireflies just to save Ellie. There's actually one more thing I want to talk about. This review's been a long one. Probably one of my longest reviews. I thought it was stupid that the whole plot of the game for, Abby was that Joel killed a doctor. And the doctor was her dad. Though in the first game, I'm pretty sure that you had the choice to kill the doctor or to not kill the doctor. It wasn't something that happened. You had the choice to not kill the doctor. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's about it. This game was fun. Story was definitely not the best. They should not have killed a character every 2 seconds to the point where that every flashback there's a character that's dead in it, even if they're like minor, like Jordan.